In this video tutorial, we cover the basic fundamentals to help you edit your first videos. And this is perfect for beginners and those who are transitioning from other editing software. Best thing, DaVinci Resolve is for free. There's also a paid studio version, but the free version already covers 90% functionality. So if you haven't installed it yet, go on the Blackmagic website or look for the link down below in the description, download it now and open up the application. After starting DaVinci Resolve, the first window you see is the project manager window here. You can just add a new project, and it's important to know that these projects you add here, they will be all stored on one database on your system. This is different to Adobe Premiere, but you can of course just click on a project and also export the project file onto a external hard drive whatsoever where you want to keep it with the footage maybe. So I already set up a project here which I want to use, and then I open it up. First thing we do, we get a little overview of the user interface, and the first thing you might notice is that there are 7 panels down here, and the first one is the media panel, which is really good for importing and managing your files. Then there is the cut page here, which is super good for really fast edits. I never use it because I only use the editing tab, which is the most common thing because there's everything you need in here. Then there is the Fusion tab, which is like Adobe Premiere. Then there is the color tab, which is really for advanced color grading. Then there's Fairlight, which is used for audio post-production and mixing. This is like Adobe Audition. And then there is the Deliver tab, which is for exporting our files. But we want a quick fix, so you can head over to the editing tab because there's everything we need. There's also the media pool where we can import our files. So if you want to import files, you just go up here and press import media. You can also just drag and drop it from your Explorer or Finder, and then you see it here. And there's one thing I want to show you, which is super cool, because I have now a folder which is really messy. There's JPEGs in there, there's audio files, there are video clips, and they're all messy in this one folder. But there's a thing called Smart Bins. If you can't see it, pull it up from the bottom, and this Smart Bins basically filters your media into things like video clips, audio only, etc. So this is super handy to just put it all in one bin and sort it later in DaVinci. All right, one thing you might notice here, here's a timeline down below. So when we select some images, you can always preview it up here. So I explain you guys that there is a button up here which you can press, and then you have a little preview of your media pool. You can just hover over it and it will already play that part, which is super good if you like searching quickly through footage and you want to find something. But I actually never really use that, so I have it only on this one, which shows me basically the timeline window. So all the buttons here are like little panels you can flap in, flap out. So if it's white, it's active, so there you can see the media pool. The effects are gray, so they're not active. You can press on it, then it opens up the effect panel and so forth. So this is super practical. You don't need to move around your workspace. You can just press on it and make it active and show that specific window. And for now, I want to pull in some clips. So I mark the clips here in my media pool, and I just want to drag and drop them in here, and then you can see the clips are showing here. There's some clips that also have audio file, and then there are clips which are shot with a drone, so there is no audio file here. And if you press the space bar, then this playhead is playing. You can also just press in the middle here, and the normal mouse tool here is shortcut is A for the mouse. And here you find your tools, and the editing tool to cut a clip is B for blade. So here you can just cut into this thing and then grab it and say delete, and then you can press into the space and say delete again, and it will basically cut the space in there. You can also just grab the edge of each clip and move it around. And there's a super cool thing if you don't want to use transitions. Up here you can grab this little thing and pull it in, and this basically gives the clip a fade in. So after we exit this clip, there's another clip that fades in slowly. So this also works for audio, so you can fade out audio fast. I really like this because this speeds up my editing process. One thing you also might want to know is what's this ruler thing here. So if you're really zoomed into your timeline, which you can always do here, you can change it here. It will always keep your playhead in the middle. So if I press here, then it will show all clips in one window, and there you can zoom in further, and there you can see everything again. So I suggest you just get a bit familiar with all the buttons here. You basically need the mouse, the blade, and then you can already do a lot. Next thing is the inspector up here. So once you've marked a clip, you can always work on that specific clip in the inspector panel up here. So there you can just zoom into your clip. You can change the position, move it around whatsoever. And you can of course animate this stuff with these keyframes here. I've made another video on that, how to animate text and images. If you're interested, just go into the description and click on the links. But for now, we don't want that. So we go return everything. There is also some super handy stuff in here, like to stabilize your footage and so on. And this is all just a click away. And I really love how DaVinci made this user interface. So everything is just so close. And if you don't want it, you just press here and it's out of your view. We covered how you can put in your clips in your timeline. And there's one thing that I like to use a lot is when I basically go through my footage and I view it and I'm thinking, okay, this is a good clip, but I only want it from here. So I add a cut here, and let's say I add another cut here, and this is the only part I want to use. I put it onto another track up here, and then let's say I want in this clip, I only want that part. I kind of make a selection, and then I want to use them in another timeline. So you can just add another timeline, and your timelines are basically your workspace for a specific edit, and it will always show in the media pool. So I have a timeline down here now, or this is actually timeline 3. And if I want to add another one, you can just press here and add another timeline. And there's a cool feature here called stacked timelines. So it will show multiple timelines at once. And this is very handy, especially if you want to pull this over and say Command copy and just put it into this selection timeline where I want to work now. And duplicating timelines is also very practical if you are working on a project for a client, for example, and at some point you want to save it because you send it to the client and then you do a follow-up edit. Then you just duplicate the timeline and start editing from there. So you can always fall back on the status of the edit back then. After you have edited your clips, let's say this is just this short part here, then you of course want to export your clips. And there is actually a really quick version up here. I always go for that into the deliver panel. In this video, we're only going to cover the edit and the deliver panel because this is all you need to get amazing videos done. Seriously, 95% of all my video editing is only in this editing tab, and then a bit of color grading, and then I go on to deliver. That's basically it. So when we want to export this, there's another trick I want to show you, because if you have a lot in your timeline and there's only a specific part which you want to export, you can press Y and O for in, and out, which means you can only export then this part of the timeline. Let's see. If you're wondering why this footage looks so dull and gray, this is because this is S-Log footage. And in this video, we don't want to dive into color grading too much. If you're interested in how to color grade log footage, then I suggest you watch my video on how to color grade S-Log, or the video on how to build a node tree and how to use a node tree. But in this video, we're gonna keep it short. Down here in the corner is this house thing, which gets back to your project manager, where you can export your projects and import them. And there's another very important button down here on this little wheel. This goes into your main settings. And in there, you should check your project settings, your timeline resolution. I like to work with 4K and 24:5 frames. If you have other footage or like to work with other frame rates, you can just set it here. Color management should always be color science on DaVinci Y RGB, and the timeline color space where we want to work with should be the biggest color space that's available, and that is the DaVinci White Gamut. And the output color space should always be Rec 709, which is the most common color display space. And you can always come back here and change your settings, your timelines, etc. So just that you know, it's always just a click away. So we press on save, and now it's saved. And let's say we want to export this short clip here. When we go on the deliver tab and we want to export this part, and there are several options you can choose here. This is a H.264 master. There's many settings you can choose from here. If you're exporting for YouTube, which I do a lot, you can choose it here. And there's one thing I really can recommend when you export for YouTube: switch this on normalize audio, which means your audio will be normalized to a loudness which is normal on the YouTube platform. If it's not loud enough, it will be pushed up, and the other way around. So this is really helpful so that your audio can keep up with the rest of the footage on YouTube. You can choose a file name, you can choose a location. Let's say this goes into movies, and this is timeline 4, save, and then add to render queue. Then it shows up here, and then you press render all, and it will render this clip here. This can always take up a few seconds or minutes depending on your video, and then this is exported and you're basically done. You've exported your first video. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I could give you a good head start to working with this amazing software, which I really fell in love with. I always hated to edit with Adobe Premiere. DaVinci Resolve can also be so simple and quick if you need it, and this is what I like. So just get warm with it, and if you have questions, just shoot them in the comment below. I really will try to help you guys out. If you found this video helpful, please leave me a like and consider subscribing. Much more content creation lessons are coming. And if you're looking for a video for S-Log grading or how to color grade in DaVinci Resolve, I've made some videos on that too. Link is in the description or in my feed. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you next time. Bye bye.